Hi, in this session we are going to look at a couple of the new features which was introduced in Dbvisit version 9. So to start off with, we're going to look at multi-language support. So you'll notice at the login screen that you now have a drop down and a choice of a couple of languages. So for example, say we choose French. We log in with our admin, and you can see that you've got your options now in your selected language. Note that certain messages such as output from the Oracle database during task execution will still be shown in English as these are passed through from the back end. So let's go back and continue with the next little feature. So next we are going to look at the creation of the standby database, and we've added an option there. So what we'll do is we're quickly going to add our two hosts, and then we'll create a DDC so we can get to the next feature. Okay, so we've got our two hosts. Then we're going to create a new DDC. I'm just going to use all the defaults so we can speed this up. And our host here is Dbvisit2. Take all that. We've got a license key there for testing, and that should give us our new DDC. Okay, so we've got our host, we've got our now. You'll see that the creation of the standby database is still the same. We're still choosing our configuration. We're still going to have the process options, the Oracle parameters, if you need to make changes there. But the next one, which is now a new default, is where we say, do you want to perform the backup, the transfer, and the restore operations in parallel when possible? And it is by default now switched on. So what this means is when a backup is created, it is done on a file by file basis. So remember, the CSD first does the backup, then the transfer, and then the restore. So it does this file by file. Once the first file has completed the backup, we will then continue with the second file. But in the meantime, the network transfer of that first file will also take place. On the standby server side, once we are notified that that first file arrived, the restore process will begin. So this process will continue where files are backed up, transferred when ready, and restored when available on the standby server. In these environments, we do, however, recommend that you have sufficient hardware and network capability to be able to make use of this option. If you've got a slow network, you don't have the supporting hardware, then rather go with the original way of doing it, doing the backup first, finish everything, then the transfer of everything, and then the restore at the end. So we're going to hit submit and get our creation of our database going. And there you see the task pops up and we're good to go. So that is the feature of streamlining the CSD process to improve the performance slightly. And there you go. As you can see, our standby database was created successfully. So the next feature I'd like to show you is one that is aimed at our new crowd. So people who are unfamiliar with our product and they need a little bit of guidance. So you will go and make use of the user quick guides. In this section, what we will do is we will guide you through certain processes. For example, if you didn't know how to create a host in Manage Hosts, we will take you through that. Seeing that we've already got our host created, we've already got a DDC, and we've already created a standby database, let's make use of the send logs and see how it guides us through the process and actually doing it. So we click, it says, now we must go to database actions. The sending and applying of log functions can be accessed from the manage database page, and then we click here. So let's click on that. You'll see it shows you the little icon to send logs. And then if you click on that little icon, it says now the send logs process has started. And there you can see. And the task keeps track of. And there you are done. So it's literally taking you through that process. And you can actually do that for synchronize. You can do that for graceful switch over. You can actually start from scratch and run through a whole new configuration using this quick guide. This is quite nifty. Okay, our next feature is one that is nice for information, especially if you've got lots of configurations, lots of people in a team managing stuff, and you would like to know what's going on. In the past, if somebody started an operation or a process on the command line, it was not visible in the central console. So what we've gone and done is we've added the functionality. Say, for example, we want to run a sync on the command line. Sorry. Say yes. And there you see something happening. We say yes, yes. No, we just take the normal little defaults. And there you see it is actually starting a task in the task history panel. And it's got this little symbol next to it, which means that this was initiated from the command line. So now you can actually track all these important processes that was run from the command line. This is quite nifty. And we'll wait for this to finish. Cool. And there you can see our sync was completed successfully, and that's how you distinguish. These were run from the command from the central console, and this one was initiated from the command line. So it is quite a awesome little feature that was added. So let's move on to the next feature. So the next feature, remember in the previous version 8, we had some kind of reporting button here, but it wasn't in use. So it was decided that we'll get some reporting integrated throughout the console. So instead of dedicating one button or one place to reporting, we've now gone and added reporting and graphs as we go on, and obviously that will be extended to new releases going forward. So the first of these you'll see in the Manage Hosts screen. For example, if you click on this little graph in the host against your primary, you will be presented with the system load in Linux, or in Windows it will be the percentage CPU used. You can then use this zoom extender and you can actually zoom in on what was going on at certain times. So that's quite a nice feature to have available if things are slow and you'd like to know what the system was up to at a certain point. The same can be done for your standby, of course. Another place where we've got this going is with the time gap. So you can always go and have a look, and we will say send logs and apply logs, and then it will bounce this back to a time gap of 0 as soon as we are in sync. And then we'll have a look at this time gap statistics. So we're going to do a log gap report. It jumps to 0, as you can see there. And then if we go and click on our time gap, we will be able to see some information. Sorry, I was a bit quick for the system. So again, we can go and zoom in on that. So that gives you a good idea as to what type of reporting you can do with regards to graphs on time gap statistics. Now, another new feature is making use of alerts, and you can see this is empty at this stage. View alert history. So what you can do is you can add alerting through the DDC with some parameters, and then if these thresholds for whatever alert you have configured is reached, that alert will then pop up here and it will require an action or a comment or whatever. So let me show you how to do it through the following. So I'm going to go to my DDC. I'm going to edit it, and I'm going to say I want to have a look. I want to set, and this is definitely one of them, the archive log gap threshold to 1. Remember to click on the tick and say submit to update it. Okay, so that means we go back to database actions, and I have got a gap greater than 1, then I should get something here. So how do we force a gap greater than 1? I'm just going to send logs, not applying them, create a gap. So as you can see, there's our first send. As soon as that is finished, let's do another send. Okay, and we can actually just send it, and let's just create that gap. And there you see the alert popping up. So it says The archive log gap has exceeded the threshold of 1. The current gap is 2. So let's click on this, get the details. So there it gives you the day, the time, the DDC we're talking about, what the alert is for, and you can now go and add some comments. Say, aware of this, need to apply all the logs on standby. And then you can say add comment and marked as seen, because you want someone that's coming on to the next shift and not knowing what's going on to see, oh, corrective action was taken. So let's go and apply the logs. And then let's do wonderful. And there you can see now that we have taken care of this alert. And that concludes the couple of features that was included in version 9 and that will absolutely make life easier and simpler just by making use of those. I hope you enjoyed the time with me. Till next time.